In the heart of a crisp Chicago winter, where the pale sun painted the city streets in shimmering silver, life moved forward with its usual relentless rhythm. Trucks rumbled through morning traffic, horns blaring softly like distant greetings, and among them rolled a familiar green garbage truck, its engine humming steady and low. Behind the wheel sat Marcus Hale, a single dad with calloused hands, tired but kind eyes, and a heart that refused to quit. Every day was the same beautiful struggle for Marcus. He woke before dawn, kissed his sleeping 6-year-old son goodbye, and stepped into the cold to chase down bills that never seemed to rest. His boy, little Jamie, waited at home with a neighbor after school, dreaming of the day Dad could take a Saturday off. But Marcus kept moving. He always kept moving, because love doesn't pause for exhaustion, and fatherhood doesn't accept excuses. Across the glittering river, in a world of polished marble and floor-to-ceiling glass, stood a modern mansion that sparkled like a frozen jewel. Inside lived Richard Lell, a self-made millionaire whose fortune could buy almost anything, except the one thing he craved most: his daughter Emma's voice. Emma was 9 years old, beautiful and bright-eyed, with golden curls that caught the light like summer wheat. But since the day she was born, not a single word had ever passed her lips. Doctors had run every test imaginable. Specialists flew in from across the country. Therapists filled the house with gentle games, colorful cards, and patient smiles. Money flowed like water. Hundreds of thousands poured into hope, but silence remained thick and unbreakable. Richard loved his daughter with a fierce, quiet desperation. Every morning, he watched her sit by the enormous window, staring out at the city with those alive, curious eyes, and every morning, a fresh wave of grief settled heavier in his chest. He had everything, yet he felt he had nothing. Fate, however, has a way of arriving on the most ordinary wheels. That particular morning, Marcus finished his route earlier than usual. The streets were dry, the crew worked fast, and the truck was lighter than expected. As he turned onto the quieter boulevard that bordered the Mansion District, something caught his eye: a small figure standing alone near the curb. A young girl. No coat, just a light sweater and jeans. She clutched a brown paper bag in both hands, staring calmly at the passing cars. The grand driveway gates behind her stood wide open, but no one else was in sight. No frantic parent, no nanny rushing out. Just a child, small and solitary against the vastness of the city. Marcus felt that familiar tug deep in his chest, the same one he got whenever Jamie looked lost in a crowd. Without hesitation, he eased the big truck to the side, hazards flashing, and stepped down in his bright orange vest. The city noise seemed to hush just a little as he approached, moving slowly, palms open, voice soft as fresh snow. "Hey there, sweetheart," he said gently. "You okay? Are you lost?" Emma turned those big, watchful eyes toward him. She studied his face, then the truck, then the paper bag in her hands. She didn't speak. Of course she didn't, but she slowly extended the bag toward him like an offering. Marcus crouched to her level, smiling. Inside the bag were 3 perfect red apples and a folded piece of paper. He didn't read the note yet. The wind was biting, and this little girl was standing out here alone. Safety came first. He pointed toward the open gates. "Is that your house?" She nodded once, small and certain. "Okay then," Marcus said warmly. "Let's get you back inside where it's warm. I'll walk with you." Together they crossed the driveway. Big man in work boots and a tiny girl in sneakers, while the city hurried past without noticing the quiet miracle already beginning to unfold. At the door, a security guard appeared, startled, radio crackling. Moments later, Richard Lell burst out, coatless, face pale with panic that instantly melted into overwhelming relief. He dropped to his knees and pulled Emma into his arms, holding her so tightly it looked like he might never let go. "Thank you," he breathed toward Marcus, voice shaking. "Thank you. I turned my back for 2 minutes. She must have slipped out the side door." He fumbled in his pocket, pulling out a sleek black card. "Please, anything. Name it." Marcus shook his head, smiling softly. "Just doing what anyone would." Glad she's safe. As he turned to leave, Emma suddenly reached out and tugged his sleeve. She looked up at him with those luminous eyes, then carefully placed one perfect red apple into his rough palm. Marcus laughed, a low, warm sound, and said, "Thank you, little lady. That's the best gift I've gotten all week." And then, without thinking, he did what he always did when his own son needed calming. He hummed. It was a simple melody, wordless and gentle. The same tune his mother used to sing while washing dishes in their tiny kitchen years ago. A lullaby without lyrics, just soft rhythm, steady breath, and love woven into every note. Emma froze. Her fingers tightened on his sleeve. Her eyes widened like dawn breaking. Richard felt his heart stutter and stop. In all these years, no sound, no music, no voice, no siren had ever pulled a reaction like this from his daughter. Marcus noticed that he didn't stop. He just kept humming, slow and warm, letting the melody wrap around them like a blanket. The roar of the city seemed to fall away. Traffic faded. Wind hushed. Only the gentle vibration of that old tune remained. And then, impossibly, Emma opened her mouth. A single clear note floated out. Not a word, just a pure, bell-like tone testing the air. Then another, and another. Richard dropped to his knees on the cold stone, tears streaming freely down his face. He had waited his entire life for this sound. Any sound. And here it was, fragile and perfect. Emma looked surprised at herself, eyes huge with wonder. Then the corners of her mouth lifted. A tiny, brave smile. The next sound formed slowly, carefully, like a flower pushing through frost. "Papa." The word landed in the daylight like a promise kept. Richard sobbed openly, pulling her close again, laughing through tears. "Yes, baby. Yes. Papa's here. Papa's right here." Marcus stood frozen, apple still in his hand, feeling suddenly small and impossibly enormous at the same time. The security guard quietly crossed himself. A passing jogger slowed, sensing the sacred weight of the moment. Richard looked up at Marcus, voice thick. "Please, stay. Just for a minute. Hum it again. Please." Marcus didn't hesitate. Kindness never hurries. They sat together on the wide front steps while the winter sun climbed higher. Emma leaned against Marcus's shoulder, small hand resting on his arm, listening to the steady rise and fall of that simple tune. Each time he hummed, she followed, first with notes, then fragments of melody, then clearer sounds that grew stronger with every breath. Minutes stretched into an hour. By noon, Emma had spoken 4 words total. Each one felt like a sunrise after. An endless night. Doctors arrived later, of course. Tests were scheduled. Specialists whispered about breakthroughs in trauma and the mysterious power of music. But the first key, the very first crack in the silence, belonged to a garbage man who stopped his truck because a child stood alone. When the radio finally crackled, calling Marcus back to the route, he stood quietly. Richard tried once more to offer money, gratitude in any form. Marcus refused again, gentle but firm. "Some moments," he said, "are payment enough." Emma waved from her father's arms. Then in her careful, bright new voice, she said his name. Marcus. He carried that sound with him through the rest of the day like a shield against the cold, against weariness, against everything. The city felt softer somehow. The streets seemed kinder. And by evening, the story wasn't gossip. It was gratitude, spreading quietly from heart to heart. In the months that followed, Richard funded a music therapy wing at the Children's Hospital downtown. He named it after Marcus's mother, Eleanor's Melody, because he understood now that some bridges are built not with steel or money, but with humming, with presence, with showing up when it matters most. Marcus never asked for credit. He never expected fame. He simply kept waking before dawn, kissing Jamie goodbye, climbing into the green truck, and humming his way through the city. Because the world listens, really listens, when you show up with an open heart. And somewhere in Chicago, on that ordinary winter morning, silence shattered as glass, and 2 very different lives touched for a moment, closing the distance between marble mansions and garbage trucks, between wealth and struggle, between hopelessness and hope. One small act of stopping, one gentle melody, one brave little voice saying, "Papa," if this story moved you, if it reminded you that kindness still has the power to change everything, then come join us here on Midnight Tales. Every night we share stories like this, real, raw, beautiful reminders of the humanity that still beats strong in all of us. Hit that like button if your heart feels a little warmer today. Drop a share so someone else can feel it too, and subscribe to Midnight Tales so you never miss the next tale that might just restore your faith in people. Because sometimes the most powerful miracles don't arrive in thunder. They arrive on ordinary wheels, wrapped in a simple tune, delivered by a stranger who cared enough to stop. Thank you for listening. Keep spreading kindness, and I'll see you tonight on Midnight Tales.